Good morning. Welcome back to Conversations at the Corner. Today is Wednesday, August the 26th, and this is episode 84. Welcome back to Conversations at the Corner. Pastor Nathan, good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing fine.
Good. We have a couple of guests on. We've been doing this all month.
Yep.
And this is the last Wednesday of the month, and this will round out this series with our guests and highlighting ministries within our church. And so it's been a good month.
Yep.
We've had different people on. We had the girls from the office. We had Courtney. We had Peyton heading up our children and youth ministries. And we've got one more guest today.
Yep.
And it's a couple from your area of ministry. So I'm going to let you introduce today's couple.
Absolutely. So today we have Bryan and Crissy Hunley. And the reason that we have them is that they are life group leaders. So we have a few different life groups in our church, in this congregation. And some of them are led by people that we already interviewed. So the Miller family and the Wallace family got interviewed because Jen and Jacqueline are part of the office, and I didn't want to bring them back again to talk about small groups. I think they actually would have been really mad at me if I did that. So I said, okay, well, we need to get somebody else. And I thought of Bryan and Crissy, and they've been leading a life group for quite a while.
Yeah,
so that's who we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, great life group leaders. And life groups are part of our discipleship platform. Life groups are incredibly important. We can talk about that. I'm sure we'll talk about that more a little bit later. But before we get into that, it is time for the question of the day. And so, guys, we do this every week in staff meeting, and Pastor Nathan and I do it every week on the podcast.
Just brace yourself.
And it's just a way just to be a little more informal and a little bit let people within our church get to know us a little bit more on a personal, fun level. And so we want to bring you guys in on that today. And so we are at the end of August. And that means that, unfortunately, kids are back in school. And so today's question of the day kind of has a school theme. So I'm going to ask Pastor Nathan the question first.
Okay.
Let you guys kind of see how it goes, and then we'll pan to you. Crissy, we'll start ladies first. So after Pastor Nathan, I'll turn to you. Okay. But here is the question of the day. What was your favorite subject in school?
Oh, yeah, this is pretty easy. So I feel like people in general are divided into two main categories. There's the math science kids, right? And then there's the people who are like English and history and that type of stuff. So I was definitely the English, history, maybe civics, that type of stuff was kind of interesting to me. Math and science, as soon as I could stop taking math and science classes, I stopped. I was done. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. Probably my favorite class that I ever took I'll just stick with high school for right now, was advanced composition. It was really fun. So this was my senior year. So it was a writing course essentially, but we also did a lot of reading. And the teacher, it was an AP class. So it was an advanced placement class. It was the only AP class that I took, and the teacher was really cool. His name was Andrew Kulak. I'd lost track of him in my life now, but he used to be in the circus. And then he became a high school English teacher, and he was just a really cool guy. But he got me reading different things and writing different things. And I just remember having a ton of fun with that class because it was a little more challenging, I think. So that was probably my favorite one. Okay. But yeah, history, English, that type of stuff.
Did you have very quickly, did you have a favorite class in college?
In college? In college, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe I could come back to that after Crissy and Bryan.
All right.
Yes.
All right, Crissy, how about you? Ladies first.
Okay, so I liked history.
Okay.
I like learning about history. When we did family vacations, we a lot of times went to historical places like Williamsburg and Pennsylvania, Gettysburg, and all that. So history, I'd say when I got to high school, I liked business classes. So I took accounting, typing, shorthand back in the day. So I enjoyed those too.
And you grew up here in the Valley.
I did.
You went Northside?
I went to Northside.
Northside High School?
Yes.
Okay. Bryan, did you go Northside too?
No, I was Lower Botetourt.
Okay, LB. All right. What about you? What was your favorite class in school?
Well, I always liked history as well. When I got into high school, I was going down more of the vocational track. So I liked shop class, things like that. We did some drafting. That was when you had the T-square and triangles, things of that nature. So we did. I did a stint there out at the Votech school, BTech, and really enjoyed hands-on things like that. I could see things more physically if I hands-on than
Yep.
necessarily reading stuff, doing book reports. We had a power and transportation class in high school, and they would build boats and go-karts and stuff like that. And in fact, Mr. Kohler, the teacher there, we're still friends today, and got to see him at Sam's actually the other day. Very good. But
Did you still call him Mr. Kohler?
yes, yes, Mr. Kohler, and his wife was a teacher as well. Out in she was a guidance counselor actually.
Okay.
And Miss Kohler. And learned a lot. And actually, I think that was sparked. Fred McKinney was a parishioner here many years ago, and he had a shop. And I would sneak through the hedge, and he was my next door neighbor, and go over and hang out in his shop with him, and clean up sawdust with his grandson, things like that.
Oh, that's cool. That's why you're such a great trustee here at the church, because you can see things and think in that way. And so, you do a great job. That's right.
What was yours?
Oh, okay. So I did actually think of one for college.
Go for it.
So actually, I have two that I'm going to mention. One was Introduction to Philosophy. So that was like my first time really kind of grappling with ancient philosophies or just different systems of philosophies and things like that. It was kind of like, whoa, eye-opening for me. And not everybody's into that. It's really abstract, analytic thinking. And I'm not great at philosophy necessarily, but it was super fun for me to kind of dig into that. The one more recent one that I took, a graduate level course. Now I don't have a graduate degree or anything, but I did take a graduate course on kind of the background of the Old Testament. So the ancient Near Eastern culture and kind of the Jewish backgrounds of the New Testament. So it was like those two things combined. That was so cool because that really kind of opened up for me certain elements of the Bible that I hadn't maybe probably fully understood before. So those are the two college ones.
Great.
Yeah.
This is a little bit of a cop-out, and so I'll answer it quickly and then maybe give a different answer. But I went to Christian school, so I would say the Bible was my favorite subject. It just came the easiest to me and the most natural. If I had to pick kind of one of the more traditional classes, I probably would say history. I'm like you, Pastor Nathan. I hated math and science. I wasn't good in it. My senior year, I took Algebra 2, and I was the only senior in there, and everybody else was like a sophomore. Like, that's how bad I was in math. I was equally bad in science. But probably the traditional subjects, I probably would say history would have been my favorite. In college, my favorite class was church leadership, and I loved it so much that I took it. And then the next semester, I was going to audit it, which means you pay like $25 and you just get to sit in it. You don't have to turn in assignments. You don't have to take tests. You just get to sit and listen. And I went to the first class, and it was like at 7:50 on a Tuesday, Thursday morning. And I went to the first class, and then I was like, you know what? I love this class, but I've already taken it, and I don't want to get up this early anymore. So I ended up not actually auditing the class. But Keith Jury taught it, and it was my favorite class at Indiana Wesleyan. So school is back in session, or for most people anyway, and if not, it's coming quickly. But guys, thanks for joining us today. This has been a fun month, and we wanna hear from you and learn from you about life groups and the importance of that and all of those things. And so, Pastor Nathan, I'm going to turn it over to you, and then you can these people serve under you and your area of ministry. And so I'll let you begin our discussion, and we'll just go.
Yeah. So with the beginning of school, it's also the beginning of our life group kind of cycle. So some people listening may know this and some may not, but our life groups typically start in September or maybe October, depending on what's going on in the life of the church and the needs of that group. And then they go basically through the school year for the most part. They usually close down in May, and then people take the summer off. Maybe they do a few little events or something like that, but generally they're taking the summer off. So you, like I said earlier, you both lead one of our life groups. I want you to tell us how that group kind of formed, like how long it's been going and how it formed. Where did that start for you guys?
Okay, so we were asked to lead a life group. I think it was like May-ish of 2022.
Okay.
There was a need to have a leader for life group for age, I'll say middle age, but like 40-ish to 60-ish. We call it the sandwich generation. So it's typically those who have maybe teenage children or young adult children still living at home, and maybe having parents that you're helping to take care of.
But you're not yet retired.
But
you're
not yet
working,
retired, still working. So you're kind of taking care of, you could be taking care of either or both. So that's how we kind of was just called the general. So we have people in our life group fall in that category,
Okay.
that age range, and so there's no young children
Okay.
of parents in our life group.
Okay. So no, that's actually interesting because that's one of the what I would call practical problems of a life group. So if you have a life group and everybody has kids, what do you do with them?
Right.
You can't like put them in a cage, so you
Yeah.
Well, you can, but you might get in trouble.
Right. But you got to have something to do with them because if they're just
Right.
running around all over the place, they can
Yeah.
kind of become a distraction and whatnot. So that's a practical problem that you all don't really have to deal
Right.
with.
Correct.
Because you've got
Yep.
either teens or young adults or kind of in that zone. So your group has been going then since 2022.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. And were you just the main leaders or does anybody else lead it? What's the structure of the group look like? Help our listeners to understand that.
Well, we're kind of the facilitators of the group. We've been very blessed. We have a lot of folks very mature in their Christian walks, and some folks have stepped up to assist with different lessons. And we all get together and decide, and of course, we'll roll it through yourself and Pastor to make sure it's appropriate material that we're working through. But, we just take a gauge of, hey, we've done this before. What would we like to study? We've just wrapped up, what was it, David, I guess it was.
Okay.
Joshua,
And David.
Joshua.
Yep.
Okay.
And we had some folks step up and did a real good job with that, and we're very thankful. Gave us a little rest. We're facilitators, and if we've had multiple people in our group step up and assist with that, and we're just
Okay.
very, very, very fortunate with
And
the
sometimes
folks.
it just depends on what stage or season of life that you're going through. If they're going through sickness or something like that. So that kind of has a tendency to lead us to what kind of study
Okay.
we want to do.
I see.
Is what's going on at that point in time.
Well, let's park here then for just 1 minute because one of my questions actually was about what you study or how you do it because every group is a little bit different. When I've led small groups in the past, I've done sometimes it's just like, hey, we're going to study a book of the Bible, and we go through that book of the Bible. Sometimes it's maybe read a book. Some people do video studies. What has your experience been with the different types of studies that you've had? What has really worked? Maybe what hasn't worked, and how do you kind of negotiate that with your group?
So we started out
the videos,
With
right?
the videos, we had each group had to start out with the community study if you were starting a new life group,
Okay.
and that was a lot of video explaining what life groups are, how they work.
Okay.
And then we rolled into, after we completed that, we did do a video series. And we probably did I think we did a couple of video series. One was by Max Lucado. But don't think people liked more of doing like a Bible study or book. So like we've done the book, we've looked at some different books. Again, we've kind of gone back to Max Lucado. We did one that is called They Walked with God, and it talked about different characters in the Bible. And you did like a quick study
Okay.
each time we met. We meet twice a month, so we would study a character or two each time. And then we reread a book, like we do a chapter at a time, and then we would come back for discussion
Okay.
on that. And then the last couple that we did was, like we said, David and Joshua. And for our group, we found that actually doing the Bible study or the book seemed to people
really
like that better than the video. Because
Okay.
the videos can get long, can get kind of boring, after you're watching it for a little while.
Especially if someone's just kind of standing there talking.
It's not as engaging.
Yeah.
People like to talk and have discussion.
Now, and that's good. Now, some groups do really like videos, and they've gone through, and obviously each video study, they're not all created equal.
Right.
Some are going to
Correct.
be better than others. But I think that really gets at one of the things that is important to me about a small group is that it acts as a place where people actually are talking about Scripture, about the Christian life, about what's going on in their own lives, because that's one of the things that, we come to church on a Sunday morning, we hear a sermon or we hear a Sunday school class, But that chance to kind of actually put our heads together and kind of say, oh, this is what I think about this passage, or this is what I've gone through, or, whatever. I think that kind of ability for everybody to get different perspectives is healthy, and it's one of the best things about a life group that I think you can get.
Yes.
So I think that makes sense. That if you got a video that's a half an hour or something like that, and then okay, you're kind of drained by the end of it.
Yeah.
So how do you pick the studies?
And I was going to say that was some of my most favorite parts of the life group when we start having actual. A question will come up, and then we'll just start talking about it, and then we'll just see where it takes us.
Have you ever gotten into an argument?
Oh, no.
No. I don't.
Come on.
I don't think we've had.
We've had questions,
down.
not had answers, and so sometimes we've had to, kind of look that up or come back to that question.
Okay.
But yeah, no arguments.
And we're very fortunate. We
Looking for a
we
little
gel pretty
drama
good.
here.
Yeah.
Is it even a life group unless they fight?
What's the point if you're not going to argue?
That's right. Absolutely.
Doing life together is supposed to be like family. Family's fine. Come on.
So how do you choose the studies? Is that something your group all kind of comes together? Do you present them with options? How does that work?
Yes, we'll get together. Hey, we're wrapping this study up in a couple weeks. Does anybody have any input on something they would like to see we go through? And then we'll take those options, of course, to yourself and pastor, and make sure that that's appropriate for study here, and then we'll go with that a lot of times. And then sometimes, if we stop a study, it's already kind of been approved. We may go back to it, just depending on where we're at. But luckily, we really didn't have to do that this year. We what we started on, it just kind of flowed through the whole year into the summer here. So yeah,
And we did. Some members of our life group went to Sight and Sound Theater in June to see Joshua.
Oh.
And so our last Bible study that finished us out was on Joshua, so that we could have a good background and understanding of the whole book of Joshua before we went.
Okay. So did you go see the Sight and Sound presentation? Or?
Yes, we
Yes,
did.
we did.
So how much time did they spend on the land division section of Joshua? Because there's a whole 9 chapters where it's here's the boundaries of Ephraim and here's the boundaries of Benjamin. Did they spend any time at Sight and Sound doing that?
They kind of went in the background and had some things with Moses, and but then it just got into the battles.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
they started into the battles, and then it kind of ended with the Battle of Jericho. They didn't really go much further.
I was
It's
trying
kind of made for TV. You
Yeah.
only do so much, right? You can't dig deep.
Yeah.
So I was trying to make a joke actually that really just failed horribly. But to me, in the book of Joshua, and I think it starts at chapter 11 or 12. It just basically lays out the boundaries for Israel for 7 chapters.
Yes.
And it is one of the more boring sections of Scripture. And I thought, oh, what would they do for that in a play?
I thought, is he serious? How are they going to work that into a play? You were joking.
I was just being.
I'm sorry. We all
And it
missed
didn't
it.
work.
Yeah, I missed it. Sorry.
It totally failed. That's fine. that is cool.
Overhead.
That is cool that you're able to do that study, have some of the background, and then go
Yes.
see the play.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's what we try to do. We were like, hey, that's what we got coming, because we had chosen to do that earlier in the year, because it takes a while to buy those tickets,
Right.
and get
Yeah.
your spot spoken. Or hey, well, let's finish up with this, and it'll be a good entry or starting point, and we'll be fresh on the scriptures and things going into the play.
And you hear mostly about the Battle of Jericho, right? So you don't hear about all of the other
Yes.
battles that they went to. So that was very interesting to learn all of that too.
So we had this question about what study you do is actually the third on my list. So I want to go back to something a little more foundational. What does a typical life group meeting look like for you? What do you guys do? How does it start? What do you do in the middle? How do you end?
Well, we start, we all get together. We actually have kind of I don't know if you call it an icebreaker or what have you. We'll have, it's every good meeting starts with food, right? So we'll
Snacks.
eat snacks. We'll do some snacks, and we'll chit chat and catch up, and just have some light conversation. We'll jump into the message or whatever we're studying, and then we'll finish up with usually some questions, and then we'll pray. We'll take praises and prayer requests. We'll record those and incorporate whatever came up or ongoing concerns in our final wrap up prayer session, and then we will adjourn. And usually, some of us will hang out and talk for a little bit longer, and then we'll head on. But and the cool thing too about it's not just we leave here and we don't see each other for another 2 weeks, but we're in constant contact with each other. We're using Facebook Messenger, and there's just the ladies especially have a ongoing prayer tree or prayer chat.
If somebody has prayer requests or praises, they put that on the chat and share that with everybody.
So let me. So I want to pick. You guys are jumping the gun on all my questions. You're getting ahead of me here. So for all of our listeners who are hearing this, some people who are listening might already be a part of a small group. But if you're listening and you're not a part of one of our life groups, what Crissy and Bryan have just described is a fairly typical life group meeting. You get together, maybe you have some food, you kind of socialize for a little bit, and then some people do the prayer and praise first, some people do it second, whatever, but then usually you're going to do some type of study, and we've talked a little bit about that, and then afterwards, after that, or before it, whatever you do, but there's a time where you're going to praise, kind of almost life update type of stuff. And so that's what it looks like. How long does a typical meeting take for you guys?
So we're usually 2 hours. We meet twice a month at 5 o'clock, and we're usually wrapping up pretty close to 7, at 7, so about 2 hours.
And I think that's typical. Hour and a half to 2 hours is kind of normal for life groups. But you kind of moved into something that is important to me, and I think important to life groups in general, is that it's not only about those 2 hours twice a month. Those are good, but you're key. So we have the kind of like the prayer chain, Facebook Messenger. What are some of the other things that you might do outside of those kind of standard meetings to help kind of keep the community together or keep in touch with each other?
Well, a lot of times we'll call or we'll text each other. Like if something's going on that week, somebody's going to do surgery or somebody's been sick, we'll check in on folks.
And we've done if you talk about like doing things together.
Well, that could be part of it, yeah.
Yep. So we've done movies, gotten together for some of the Christian movies that have come. And some of us, will attend that. In the summertime, we usually meet at least once a month, and we'll meet maybe for ice cream once. And then the next month we might meet for dinner. But yeah, we've done dinner outside, and food's involved a lot.
Well, and I think that's good because food is a great place for everybody to kind of sit together. You're all eating, you're all kind of partaking of the same meal, and that's where you're going to talk. Because what else are you going to do? You don't want to just stare at each other while you eat a chicken wing or whatever,
Well, and we'll play games and things of that nature.
Yeah, we'll have a game night, maybe once a quarter. We try to do a dinner and game night here in the fireside room.
Oh, okay.
And we'll just bring games and a lot of times we end up just to spend the time fellowshipping and talking and eating.
And I think that really gets at what's important. So when I talk about life groups, or the main thing that I want people to understand, or the way that I like to think about them, is almost like they are a little church within the big church.
Yes.
So it's a little community that's manageable. You might have 10, 12, 15, whatever, kind of somewhere in that range of people that are kind of all together and they're doing life together. And it doesn't mean you don't know anybody else in the church, but you're dedicated to a smaller community. Because if you don't have that and you just come to a Sunday morning service, you're going to meet people and you're going to know them, but it's not the same as really kind of doing life together and kind of keeping a really tight bond and connection.
Right.
So that's what I like to tell people, is that it's almost like you have a church within the church that you can rely on. So if something comes up, like us pastors, we want to know if somebody's in the hospital, obviously, but we also want people within the church to reach out to other members of the body of Christ. We want you all to minister to each other, not just us ministering to everybody. We want that ministry to go back and forth between people.
Right.
So I think that's a really good element, that community element that you're talking about. So speaking of that, let me ask you another question. Have you had members leave and join, and what's that like? How has that changed the group? What does that look like for you guys?
We've had some turnover. Luckily, it really hasn't changed the dynamic a whole lot because we're all kind of in that same point in life, and we're all doing the same kind of things with like we were talking about earlier with children and parents, things of that nature. It hasn't really, but you're right. Anytime you add somebody in, it might change it up just a little bit.
Yeah.
But so far, it hasn't. I haven't really noticed too much. We're very blessed. We have a good group of folks, and we really love our life group. I was going to say that after COVID, that was one thing that I really missed. We were coming to church, but I missed that deeper connection with smaller groups of folks. And you get to really get into people's lives and get to pray for each other and just really kind of you're pulling each other across the finish line here. When people are at different stages of life. Some people are on the mountaintop, some are in the valley, and we're reaching a hand back trying to help each other through. And hey, if somebody else can help you through a situation or what, hey, I've been there. My father was sick last year, and well, my father's sick now. Can you help me out with that? So, yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And I hope this is okay for me to say, but I know that some people within your group have gone through some very serious things. We've had some cancer, some things like that. So having that tight-knit community when you're going through something very big like that is important. So I think that fits in.
And there's a lady who's in their group right now that's going through that, and she has told me multiple times about the love of the church and the love and support of her life group.
Yeah.
And so that's what you're saying, like that's actively happening currently right now.
Yeah, and I always think that's so important because sometimes in church life, the idea is that we like offshore all of the ministry to the pastor. And we're just two people.
Yeah.
If you got a church of 200 or whatever, we can't meet everybody's needs and also do the regular parts of our job. So that life group becomes so essential. So it's not just about us. It should never be just about us. So.
And as soon as a need arises, people are quick to, hey, what can we do?
Yep.
Take meals or go visit or
pray,
send cards, whatever. And I was going to say, along with talking about the dynamic of the group, I think we've been together, the majority of us have been together for 4 years, so we've built a good bond and trust within the group. And so we always say, what's said in life group stays in life group. And people have that trust that they feel in time they've been able to open up and share more, which is helpful because you never know when you may share something that somebody else may needs to hear.
Yeah, and I think that's good because a Sunday school class, for instance, probably not the best place to be vulnerable about your struggles. Now, you could, and it might work out, but when you're in that kind of environment and you're building a long-term trust, then being vulnerable is much easier, and you feel that sense of safety with the people that you have. And that kind of reminds me of one thing that I've talked to people who have been in small groups for a very long time. Some people call them community groups, a small group, life group, whatever. And I've heard people say, there have been times when I've thought about maybe, and it's not necessarily about this church, but I've thought about maybe switching my church, going to a different church, but I didn't want to lose that community because that's something that is kind of keeping, and not that you want to trap people. Small groups aren't a trap.
But it is a way to close the back door.
Yeah.
For people, because connection, people leave churches. One of the reasons is they're just not connected.
Yeah. Yep. And that's exactly true. There's even a lot of church leadership philosophy stuff about that type of thing. But that's a big part of it. When you think about the early church, there is a picture in Acts of the people actually knowing each other. and meeting on a regular basis and sharing life together. And I'm sure it didn't look quite like our life groups do, but that sense of actually being in a community where you really do know each other and can care for each other is present in the book of Acts. And I think small groups do go a little way to replicate that, at least.
Yeah.
And I know a couple of people that had to step out. They were with us probably at least 2 years. Just the season of life they were in. You know, they just needed to step back. And I know it was hard for them to do that.
Yeah.
But definitely understood.
And they may come back.
Right.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, this life group is our extended family.
Yeah.
You know, it's the family. You know, they chose our group. We're a little tribe of folks just kind of hanging out together. But they're family. We love them as family, and we're very thankful that they're in our lives.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So I really, my goal with this interview was to help give our listeners a picture of what a life group might be like, some of its advantages, some of its benefits, just some of the practical stuff of if someone wanted to join a life group, what would it kind of look like? And you guys have answered all of those questions so well. I don't have any more questions for you, but what I do want to say is just thank you for leading a life group, and thank you for your consistency. I know you have a very strong group, a very consistent group, and that's a top-down thing. You guys are the leaders, so you create a culture of consistency. So I really just want to thank you for the work that you do.
Well, it's an honor.
Yeah, thank
and
you all for the
privilege.
Opportunity. Yep.
Yeah, for us to lead a life group, and it's not our life group.
Nope.
It's our whole group that we incorporate everybody in decision making. And I would say that if you do not are not in a life group right now, that I would definitely recommend it. I know for those of you that have young children, especially, how hard it is. With all the extracurricular activities and things that are going on, that it's hard to make the time to do that. And you may not make it every time, even if you made it once a month or as much as you can, you will definitely not regret it. It will help you in your parenting. It will help you with your children. Those children can build friendships, relationships with the other kids and the other parents, and it will really be helpful to you in your day to day and just parenting in general. So I'll put that little tidbit out there.
That's perfect.
Thanks, Crissy. I was going to ask you to do that anyway, and you just did it. Perfect.
Yeah.
Pastor Nathan, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think I just wanted to hear from you guys, and you guys have been great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you. As Pastor Nathan said, thank you for serving. I remember when we were looking to expand life groups and we were talking about who do we want to entrust that with and who do we want to ask. I think you guys were the first name on the list, and your willingness to do it and to continue to do it is invaluable. So thank you for your years of service. We love you. We appreciate you. We value you. And as Crissy said, if you're listening and you're not in a group, consider getting in a group.
Get in it.
And I would also say that if you're in a group and you feel like the Lord may be saying, hey, it's time for you to take the next step and to maybe lead a group, we would love to have 2 or 3, maybe even 4 other groups. We have people that really need to be in them.
Yep.
One of the reasons we don't have that is that we just haven't found the right leaders to lead these groups. Yep. So if you're in a group and you're ready to take that step, I know it can be hard. You've got this kind of little family. It can be hard to step out and leave that, but we aren't called just to huddle and stay in comfort. We're called to live sent. And so take that step and be a part of offering what you experience to somebody else by having your own group. So something we want to do, and just want to thank you guys for what you do.
Yep.
You're welcome, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, and thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
And I'd say, some people may be challenged that, that me leading is not my thing. We're not, I don't know, honey, what would you say? We may struggle at certain things,
Yes.
but the group itself brings us together, and
Everybody has their own
strengths.
and spiritual gifts that make it work.
Right.
And maybe what we should say too is when you lead a life group, maybe initially, but it doesn't and it shouldn't be that everything falls on you.
No.
Oh, right.
I mean, you
that
have
we
a
share that.
Yeah, you have kind of the responsibility of shepherding that group, But as people get familiar with the group and get comfortable and begin to use their gifts, a lot of that is really spread out to this person has the gift of hospitality. So maybe they're going to host the group.
We have people that send cards.
Yeah.
Organize snacks, whatever. So yes, it's not just us. It's all members working together.
Yes. Well, guys, thank you. We love you and appreciate you so much. And we appreciate not just all that you do for your life group, but what you bring to our church as well. Crissy, you're the LBA secretary, and Bryan, you're on the board of trustees, and you guys are just amazing churchmen. And
thank you. We love it here. We love our church family, and we're just thankful to be here.
Yeah. Well, we love you guys too.
Yeah.
Thank
we
y'all.
love you. We love you.
Oh, thank you for that hug, Pastor Nathan.
Pastor Nathan, they both kind of work for, I'm doing quotes because they don't pay their volunteers, but they both kind of work for me in the fact that Crissy's on the board and Bryan's part of the board of trustees, but they also serve under you
a little bit
with being life group leaders. So why don't you pray for them?
Absolutely.
And as we close this out.
Okay. Heavenly Father, we come before you today knowing that you made mankind for relationship. It's not good for mankind to be alone. It's good for us to have fellowship and partnership. We are not, and as we serve you as disciples, your son didn't come and just disciple one person, and then you discipled a bunch of people, and you created a group of 12. So we know that being in groups and being together as communities is a good, holy, God-designed thing. So my prayer is really twofold. The first is for Bryan and Crissy as group leaders, that you would bless their group, that it would continue to mature, that it would they would serve one another in love and in humility. They're really just for them to continue doing what they're doing. Lord, give them the energy to continue doing what they're doing. But I also pray for the other small groups, life groups that we have here at Emmanuel Wesleyan. I pray for their strength, for the leaders that are in those groups, for all of the people who are involved in them, that you would richly bless this congregation through these life groups. We want your hand to be on them. We want people growing and maturing and sharing and leaning on one another and doing ministry with one another and ministering to each other. So God, the whole point of this is that we would love one another, and that by that, people would know that we are your disciples. And that's our ultimate goal here. So God, we pray over these small groups, these life groups, and we ask your hand on them. In the name of your son, Jesus, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Nathan. Thank you to the Hundleys for joining us today. Join us same time, same channel next week. New month, new topic. Keep rolling, Emmanuel.